A long time ago, in the same galaxy you spent your childhood, the world was getting hyped up for what was at one point the grand finale to the Star Wars saga. If you were a kid in the early 2000s, like me, the marketing cycle for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is likely burned into your memory. But do you remember Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith for the PlayStation 2? The year was 2005, and right before Revenge of the Sith released in theaters on May 19th, 2005, gamers had a chance to see exactly how the saga would conclude across two video games. So long as you didn't mind a comedic take on the Battle of Heroes, you could witness it through the original LEGO Star Wars, which released on March 29th, 2005. Or you could wait just a few weeks for a more mature, accurate gamer pill to take on May 5th, 2005. Now, nearly everyone loves and remembers the charming comedic take on the prequel trilogy with LEGO Star Wars, so releasing right before the Revenge of the Sith video game, it may have caused the latter to be overshadowed 20 years on. This release rollout really just shows you how far licensed games have come, let alone the fact that we got a movie tie-in which flat out doesn't really exist anymore. But with spoiler culture being so sensitive the way it is today, could you imagine a game with the full story on display releasing weeks before the feature film? That's exactly what players got when they picked up the sticks on Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Releasing on the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, and Symbian, which is apparently a Nokia phone, players had their choice of two versions of this Episode 3 game. The portable version adapted the story into a level-based 2D side-scroller beat-em-up, where the PS2 version really pushed a set-piece-filled roller coaster of an action game through the film's most iconic moments. Spread across 17 levels, you take turns controlling either Anakin or Obi-Wan as the game tells the story of the former's corruption to the dark side and the fall of the Galactic Republic and Jedi Order. The game featured action combat with light skill progression and upgrades. It's relatively straightforward and doesn't pose much of an issue to see through from start to finish. How Long to Beat clocks this PS2 classic at 5 hours to finish the main story, and about 8.5 for completionists. This is actually a case where the completionist mindset may come in handy, because there is so much bonus and, frankly, weird stuff. In hindsight, the game really is just a little strange overall. Not only because it included 12 minutes of footage from the film well ahead of its theatrical release, again, can you believe that was allowed? But also because the game has a variety of what-if scenarios that help extend the playtime of this PS2 game. Upon completing some of the game's main levels as either Anakin or Obi-Wan, you'll unlock new scenarios that allow you to see the story from the perspective of new characters, like Master Yoda, or even some of the newer additions to the saga at the time, like General Grievous or his Magna Guard. Going back to the marketing of the film conversation, this game also features ties to the underrated Clone Wars specials created by Samurai Jack mastermind Genndy Tartakovsky. It's linked not only thanks to its inclusion of planets from the series in the handheld versions, but also due to the fact that both Anakin and Obi-Wan are voiced by their 2D animated counterparts from this now non-canon telling of the events of the Clone Wars. The Episode 3 video game is really a time capsule of an age that we have no longer lived in with Star Wars and licensed material overall. But if that was all that made this game special or interesting 20 years later, it would be enough to make it an anomaly. But what you may not remember is that this game had a pretty substantial multiplayer offering as well. In addition to providing cooperative missions where two players can team up to fend off droids or even clones during the assault on the Jedi Temple, there was also a 1v1 arena fighter mode. You could select from a variety of characters, from Count Dooku to Sarah Keto. Is the fighting game any good? Well, let's just say it's no Masters of Terras Kasi. So that is quite the package, and paints a picture of a truly forgotten age for both the franchise of Star Wars and licensed game. Wait, what? That is right, folks. You may have forgotten, or maybe didn't even experience it when you first played through it, but this game features an alternate ending. Years before content creators were making entire careers out of writing what they think would have been better or providing what-if scenarios for the Star Wars saga that they play out in their heads, the team over at The Collective and LucasArts got ahead of the "what if Anakin beat Obi-Wan on Mustafar" conversation before the film even released. Real visionary decision here. If things go south for Obi-Wan while playing out the final battle of Revenge of the Sith, players will witness a cinematic alternate ending to Episode 3, where Anakin leaves his former master for dead on the magma shores of Mustafar, only to return to his new master Palpatine and then strike him down, presumably taking his place to act as new Emperor of the Galaxy. No word on what happened to Padme or the kids, unfortunately. Can't imagine they would have been happy with an Emperor dad. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is a great example of what licensed games were like well before Batman Arkham Asylum came in and really changed the game for what we have today. On that level alone, it's worthy of a revisit. While the structure of the game itself is basic, there is a whole lot to see, especially for Star Wars fans. Its replayable missions and alternate ending, plus a bonus level that lets players play out the duel between Obi-Wan and Vader on the Death Star from Episode 4, makes this a bit of a fascinating time capsule from an age where Star Wars fans truly thought the saga was complete. What do you think of the Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith video game? Did you play it growing up, and are you planning to revisit it in celebration of the 20th anniversary of the film and this video game in 2025? Be sure to let us know, and as always, you can stay tuned to Game Rant for more videos like this.